We got
burn the boat in the kingdom, can't turn around. We're lighting up the night, shaking up the ground. Excuses and flames, yeah, we're breaking free. We'll be fire, this is our legacy.
Jay Kinder.
What's up, baby? How you doing?
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Welcome to the One Big Fire, everybody. This is episode 69, and we are coming to you live and direct from Frisco, Texas.
Yep.
I don't know if it's warm or cold there, and we got snow on the ground over here. Amber says she wants to do the snow dance.
Amber thought it was funny. It's episode 69.
It is funny that it is episode 69.
It would have been a lot funnier if it was episode 67, because then Riggs would have been like 67. Your kids are older. It's probably not in your. Have you not seen this phenomenon of 6'7"?
No, I don't know anything about it.
Oh my God!
What is this 6'7"?
You're lucky your kids are older. That's all I can say. For those of you watching who know what I'm talking about, I don't know what it is about. I have no idea. There's some video somebody said 6'7", and it was a song, I guess, apparently. And now anytime any two digits are 6 and 7, every time you'd be amazed at how many times a day the number 6'7" comes up. It's unbelievable.
Damn it. Now that you told me that, I'm going to be seeing it everywhere. Is that how this is going to work?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, just like everything. Even my daughter's like, my truck outside, it's a 6.7 diesel 6'7". Everything. Like, dude, it's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. So, yeah. Kids getting kicked out of school for it. It's ridiculous.
Is it like is it a derogatory 6'7"?
I don't think so. I think the song, they played the song, the kids played the song for me. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I was like, how this became viral, I will never understand. But I will say the number 6'7" show up more than you could possibly imagine in a day. It's unbelievable.
So, so is that the truth, or is it just the reticular activator has been
But if you were to guess, not having you're having kids that bring it up every single time, you would say, there maybe a few times a day. No, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah, Melanie Weaver, she's heard of it. She's like, kids are getting kicked out of school for it. Like, why are they getting kicked? I mean, are they using it in some kind of a vulgar manner? Or is it represent something? Like, we know what 69 stands for.
Mm-hmm.
Like, everybody knows that. 86, that stands for get rid of it. Like, it's like a restaurant thing. Amber knows. She grew up in the restaurant industry. 86, that. Yep. We ain't offering that meal anymore. We're out of pork or whatever. But I don't know what the 67 is. I guess I'm gonna have to ask my 20-year-old.
I'm gonna throw it into Chat GPT.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Yeah. Well, here's what we know. You know, the Fed, there's all this, the chatter around about the Fed getting cut. Wouldn't it be amazing, like, if they cut and like the rates somehow, I don't even know at the moment what if the rates went up or down today, but I know that everybody believes, not everybody, but a lot of real estate professionals think that when the Fed cuts the rate, that means the mortgage rates are going to come down. And sometimes that does happen. Okay. But that's not how it works. Okay. It's not, the Fed does not control the mortgage rates. That would be the 10-year Treasury bond market. And so, yeah, man, I want to just I want to explain it like I would explain. Like when I ask somebody to explain to me something real complex, like how to operate a mortgage branch and what BIPs are and all this stuff, I'm like, hey, break it down to 5th grade. 3rd grade's even better. And that's how I need to understand things. I don't know about you, Jay, but I need it explained. And I got a pretty good explanation for you if you're interested in hearing it.
I am. Actually, the 5th grade version would be perfect, if you don't mind.
5th grade?
Yeah.
You got it. So the rates right now, I just looked them up, 6.3%. So it's not 6.7. This proves all these kids wrong.
Right.
There's no 6.7 in the rates today.
Wouldn't that have been funny if it was though?
Get that shit out of here. We ain't buying into this 6.7 stuff. It's 6.3. So the 10-year Treasury is really what the mortgage rates follow. And so I guess one cool analogy would be like the kids on the playground, right? So the kids on the playground, think of like the Fed is one of 3 kids on the playground. Okay. And when the Fed makes a move, the other 2, they look and see like, oh, okay, what's going to happen? So the behavior, it can affect the behavior of what happens, because investors look at it and say, okay, is the Fed lowering the rate? Why are they lowering the rate? Well, they're lowering the rate usually because they're maybe seeing the economy start to soften up a bit. Maybe inflation starting to slow to a point where they feel like a cut is necessary. But that rate is the rate at what banks borrow against with each other. That's what that rate is. Okay, the Fed rate doesn't directly affect what a mortgage rate is. But what mortgage rate securities do follow is the 10-year Treasury bonds. So when that's like the 10-year Treasury, think of that as the boss. Okay, so
is that the principal on the playground?
That's the boss. That's the maybe you could call him, maybe not the bully. Maybe that would be the Fed. But I don't know. I didn't think too far into the analogy, but they're like the tough kid. When the rates go up on that 10-year Treasury, mortgage rates go up. And when rates on the Treasury go down, the mortgage rates follow that like a shadow. So the Fed cuts could indirectly, the Fed can make investors start to think, is the economy slowing down? And when that happens, investors start to buy safe investments. Okay. So when a lot of the investors buy bonds, the rates of those bonds go down, and then the mortgage rates can go down. So there's your 5th grade. I don't know if that helps. Maybe it confused the shit out of more people. I don't know, but it made it more feasible to me. So here's Melanie Weaver again. She says 6.7. Honestly, I don't know what it means, even after Googling it and chat GPTing it. That's why I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. Jay, go down the rabbit hole.
Anybody knows, if anybody wants to give us the 5th grade version of what that's about, let us know.
Well, what we do know,
but their rates right now are between 6 and 7. That's what we do know.
I knew there was. See, you did the dirty work of the devil right there. You found where the 6 and the 7 were. They were between the 6 and the 7.
That's true. That's true. I think most of it is you have to look for where you can use it.
Yeah.
Here's
another truth. When we're talking about, is the Fed going to drop? Is it not going to drop? Are the rates going to follow? Are they not going to follow? We have zero control over that.
Yep.
I would spend very, very little time really worrying about that, other than the fact that, if the rates if you think they are going to drop, it wouldn't be a bad idea to call your past clients and let them know, if they were on the fence and they're waiting for something, the rates to drop, okay, before they buy that next house. It would be a very, I would say, an expert move in you could really position yourself as that expert advisor by calling them and informing them and letting them know when those rates drop, the prices of real estate are probably going to follow and go up. So you're not going to, just because the rate drops a little, maybe you're going to have a lower payment. You're also going to probably pay a little bit more for that property. So my advice, get in there now before rates drop. Buy that house that you're looking to buy, and then go refinance when the rates drop down the line. That's the move, because the amount of money you're going to have to pay for that house is going to trump, a tiny little blip in the rate coming down. So there's your 5th grade lesson.
There you go. And are they meeting right now? December 9th, today.
Is this today?
Yep, today.
They're on the playground right now.
Yep.
Playing kickball.
And the market seems to be doing well today, so they must be expecting good things today.
I bet you we're gonna find out on the 6 o'clock news, and if not, maybe the 7 o'clock news.
Oh, there you go. See, you're already on.
Oh, there we go. Here's what I will say though, man. We got, a lot of our agents are excited. They are positioning, getting ready. I would say that the number one, everyone's in business planning mode as they should be for 2026. And most of our agents, they are doubling down on their listing systems as they always should be. Like we've always preached that, right?
Yep.
But at this point, you need to get listings. Now, I talked to an agent from Florida yesterday, and actually, we have a call with her tomorrow scheduled. Great lady. She's with another brokerage, getting Zillow leads. Shocker.
Ouch.
And she used to be getting a lot of these Zillow leads. This is actually a great story to hear, okay? She was getting, first of all, her entire business at this moment is dependent upon her broker. If her broker is going to give her many leads, few leads, no leads, all leads, I mean, it's she has zero control over that. On top of that, there's going to be a 40% referral fee that's going to come off the top of anything that she closes. Which, look, if you're getting those and you can make a few bucks, great. That's not what we're not saying that those leads are evil. What we are saying is you shouldn't be building your business on rented land. You're building it on Zillow's land. So here's the thing we know. I've been talking about this. I actually shared this with the lady. Do you remember the first time you heard about Zillow? Do you remember what year it was? I know.
I do not.
So I was with Remax, and my buddy Nate Golem called me up, and they own a Remax brokerage too, and we would go to conferences and stuff like that together. He goes, dude, have you heard of these new leads? They're called Zillow leads. And I'm like, no, I've never heard of Zillow. What's that? He's like, it's this new lead system, dude. They are crazy good and they're cheap. So they were just giving these zip codes away for like dirt cheap, right? And this was in 2000 and I want to say it was 2008 or 9. It was right in the middle of when I was losing all my money, basically.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm trying to dig out of holes and trying to figure out a way to get through short sales and all that bullshit.
I remember those days.
Like, wow, the Zillow, right? So I bought a couple. I was like, dang, he ain't lying. These things are middle of funnel, damn good leads. I start closing them. They're cheap. And there's one consistent thing that's happened between 2008 and today, 2025. Can you guess what that is?
What?
Zillow's changed their compensation model. The one thing consistent is it's been one direction only. They've reached in our pockets more and more every year, every other year. Their model changes. The zip codes get more expensive. Now they're not even selling the zip codes. Now it's a play for. And I mean, look, if I was them, if we were running that company, we may have done the same thing. They figured it out. They figured out one truth is that the majority of agents don't understand how to run a funnel, how to create their own leads, how to build their business on their own land because they're more comfortable building it on rented land. Yep. When they know, right? Like when you're renting a house, you don't got to worry about the grass being cut, the snow being shoveled, something breaks, someone comes and fixes it. Yeah, it's more expensive, but you're not building any equity in it because you're building on this rented land. And so I was talking to this great lady, and I kind of explained to her like that's not going to change. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not like the trend isn't going to all of a sudden be like, oh, we're gonna give the agents more money. No, they're going to continue taking away more control and more of your money, which is why Funnel Pilot seems to be, the logical answer to an agent that's really trying to build something sustainable that they don't got to worry about anybody changing the rules or Zillow saying now you owe me a 40% referral fee or now you got to use my lender or all the other shenanigans that we're pulling.
Right. 100%. I had the same conversation with an agent, two conversations very similar yesterday. And, he was getting, and one of them was getting Op City leads. And I don't know what the referral fee is on those, probably 25% or 30. And again, guys doing, their $1 million average sell price. I can generate leads in his market for $3 to $5 a lead. So I can get him 100 leads for $300. And he just doesn't have that skill set like that. How valuable is that to that guy? a lot. It's probably worth. We did the math. I was like, listen, this isn't about moving brokerages. This is about you adding $250,000 a year to your income net. And another person that did 29 deals did 29 transactions, all on a 50-50 split after they paid the referral fee of whatever it was. It wasn't Zillow. I can't remember what it was. It might have been, but but once you get control of that knob and you have control of your own leads and you can turn it up or you can turn it down as you see fit, your business changes forever. Like you'll never go back to paying these ridiculous fees. It's just a fact. Like you never do it.
Right.
And so,
everybody's talking about Zillow. Nobody's talking about realtor.com. Okay. And here's the thing. Part of Honey Badger Nation, the really like the heartbeat of Honey Badger Nation is we have the biggest teams at EXP, some of the biggest teams in the nation, teams that are selling, $1 billion in value. I was just looking. I pulled up the roster from Honey Badger Nation, and I went and sorted it just because I was curious and I wanted to see. I was like, dang, dude, the top year to date, the top team already has over $1 billion in sales. I was like,
crazy,
holy Moses! And then you see the Kyle Whistles, the Veronicas, the Tinas. They're all, we have them all, are part of our organization. And I say that to say this, like, I'm not going to mention the team's name, but I was talking to one of our biggest teams, and he's like, dude, I just bought up every realtor.com zip code in the area that he's in. That means nobody else can buy it. Now, that's a strategic move. I'm not saying that's a bad move, but he's a team leader. This guy's, he's probably netting, I would say, somewhere between $70,000 to $80,000 a month. Okay, like that's his profit. He can afford to stroke a check like that. You know who can't afford? The majority of the solo agents are out there trying to battle. They're trying to get their pipeline filled to do 25, 30, 35 sales. Like they can't go do that. So that's the gap that I think that we took a responsibility in filling that gap.
Yeah.
Right? What about the agent they're a great agent. You put them in front of somebody, I don't care if it's a phone call, Zoom, face-to-face, they're going to convert them because they're likable. They can build trust. They can build authority, but they ain't getting the same opportunity as these big teams. And I'll tell you this, one more thing too, Zillow just announced. So the teams that are listening to this out there, they already probably know this. If they're a Zillow Flex team, they're now starting to say, hey, are you a solo agent, Jake Kinder? You're not on a big team, but I can see that you're selling 30, 40 homes. You must be good at converting leads, and we're going to bet on you. We're going to give you your own a Flex account. So now think about like all these teams are using the ability to have, hey, I got the Flex account. Nobody else got the Flex account. I got 300 conversations coming into my team every month. We're closing, 30 of those. That's awesome. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. But guess what? Your top agents, they're the number one threat of any big team is losing their top agents, their top 2, 3 agents. The biggest producers are the biggest threat. Why?
Yep.
Because they're doing the math. And what they're seeing every day is they're out there hustling and they're getting you rich, which is, hey, capitalism 101. I love it, right? But now that threat is about to grow. The second that Zillow pulls it and says, hey, you're a solo agent? Yeah, your production looks good. We're going to plug you into the system, see if you can hang. We want your mortgages, by the way, and we're going to take 40% of your dollar, but we can get you a Flex account as a solo agent. We haven't seen it before. This is coming. And I'll tell you, dude, I'd like to know what your thoughts are and what potentially this could do for teams.
Yeah, man. I mean, the problem is that even these big teams, unless you're in an average sale price where you have the margin to do it, and most of these teams are not profitable. They're not making a killing. I've looked under the hoods of the top teams in the industry, and it's very difficult on thin margins to operate that on 40% of the revenue, less revenue. And so, it's, and I still think that most of the people that have scaled their big teams scaled it from the buy side, which is the least margin side to do it with. And so, I think most people that are, there's a few that we know that know how to operate real businesses that are profitable. But if you generated those leads on your own, how much more margin would you have? Instead of 40%, that's probably $5,000. If you could generate that same deal for $200, how much more margin would you have? I think agents have to shift they have to build other pillars of where they generate their business from. And you can do what we do for an individual agent to get them a couple deals, 2-3 deals a month consistently. You can do that at scale and have multiple funnels in your marketplace, and you can start to wean off of it. And I think that's what teams better do. Or I think they're in for they're in for a struggle. Agents are going to figure it out on their own. Their best agents are always, you always have to be recruiting. We all know that. So you're going to lose your best people. So you better have a bench. You better be always recruiting. I wouldn't want to do it, man. I wouldn't want to run a team like that. Like I'd rather get whipped with a car antenna than have to pay those fees, maybe it's just the lot in Oklahoma in me. You know what I'm saying? Like the average sale price was so low there that, I couldn't have made it work. It wouldn't have worked. You ever been whipped by a car antenna?
No, I've never been, thankfully.
Yeah.
I imagine it fucking hurts
Really bad.
Oh yeah. But we were literally just talking about your Lawtonisms.
Yeah.
Holly and I were talking about the other day, and that's a good one. I like that. I'd rather get whipped with a car antenna.
Yeah. Add that
Up
to the
north,
list.
we used to say wet noodle, but a wet noodle don't even hurt.
Mm-mm.
Like I'd rather kneel on rice. But whipped with a car antenna.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, you got to get a car antenna, which means you got to rip one off a car
You got to unscrew it.
or unscrew it.
Those old 80s, like Caprices and Cadillacs, you just unscrew them.
Yeah. Well, you know what I would, let me ask you this. So Jay, what if there was a system, a proven, repeatable system that literally brought in, let's say 300 to 400 leads a month into your top of funnel, and you had a system that literally followed up on every single one of those leads for you automatically, not through like your old conventional ways of writing campaigns and whatnot, but the campaigns. And we had an agent that literally followed up on everyone, found out if any of them were actually sellers. If they were, kicked them right back to you, right? And literally did all that done for you. And there was a way to zero cost it for anything. Can you think of a reason why you wouldn't want to be operating that system in your business today?
Yeah, you'd want to buy that all up in your market if you could.
Yeah. Well, stay tuned.
Yeah.
January 2026. We're gonna be pulling the blanket off of this baby. We've been building this Ferrari, this jet plane, and it ain't ready for revealing yet. But we're going to be equipping our agents with the ability to take a listing a week.
Yep.
That's what we're building, a machine. Because if you can control the listings, you control the market, you control your business. And that's how you build a solid foundation for your business. You don't build it on rented Zillow land. You build it on a listing inventory.
Yep.
And getting the listings and understanding how to talk, how to build trust, how to build authority with sellers. And you do that, you're never going to have to worry about where your next sale is coming from ever again. And
if you do that, by the way, you're going to get buyers naturally.
Oh, yeah.
It's
that's what the young lady I was talking to that we're meeting with tomorrow. I asked her, I said, so you're getting the Zillow leads. And I said, what do you like working better, buyers or sellers? And the area that she's in, the state she's in, she's like, it's starting to turn. I have some listings that aren't selling right now. I'd rather have the buyer leads. I said, cool. But if I had a system that could get you, 5-6 listing appointments a month, and you can close a few of those down, would you still want just to work the Zillow leads? No. I want those. Because what do we know about listings? Listings have what, Jay?
Babies. They have babies.
They have little babies. Those babies are baby buyers. So that's
Sometimes,
the machine.
sometimes people that list, they got to buy something. Sometimes they're getting a divorce and two people have to buy something. Sometimes the guy down the street sees that you saw that house and they call you and they list their house with you. Sometimes somebody calls on that property and buys another property from you. And it's how you build your brand. Like that's this is all Dan Kennedy 101. Like, be the Incredible Hulk and jump up and down in a puddle. Your signs are an extension of your marketing. It's an impression. When somebody drives by your sign every day, that's an impression. That's an impression. The more impressions you have, so the more signs you have. I used to list. I went to some class. We've all heard it. List the last, this, that, the other. And this guy, what was it? It was a CRS course. And the guy was really funny, but he called it being a lot lizard, listing lots. That was one of his things, being a lot lizard. I was like, that's not what I thought a lot lizard was, but. Anyway, that was one angle. And then another one was, man, you always market and go after houses on corner streets because you could get 2 signs up. And those houses on the worst streets where, they're on the busiest thoroughfares, take all those fucking listings because every one of those are going to, get more people driving by them all the time. And so it always stuck in my head. Like if it was a listing that was on, one of the major thoroughfares, most people would be like, oh, that's going to be hard to sell. I'll be like, I'll take that listing all day. This is going to be trafficked. It's like having a billboard. And so I took listings that sometimes in the beginning, I took listings that sometimes didn't sell. And, but it helped build my brand. And that was, I got to a place where I didn't do that, but in the beginning I took every listing. And I think that strategy does work. Oh yeah. If you're getting started 100%, if you're sitting on 30 listings, you may want to start getting a little picky on which ones you're taking. Yeah. There's a skill set too to it, Yeah, I wanted them to sell. It wasn't. There's a lot of times they were harder to sell. But I think most people that say they want to work on the buy side is because they don't have the skill set of how to help them price and position a home to sell in the market conditions that we're in. That is a different skill set that only the people that are listening to this that it's a little bit tougher. I got to spend a little bit more time to get them to reality, but. What you can't do is you can't make someone that's not motivated. They got to have a reason to move and a reason, some reason that they're doing this. If they don't have that, then you don't have a lot of leverage. And, one of the articles that, that we read prior to this talking about delistings, I thought that was very interesting. Did you read up on that? The percentage, and I didn't at first. I was like, they're just using the percentages to play with this a little bit as far as data. But the biggest seller move this fall has been retreat. Delistings jumped 37.9% year over year and 45.5% year to date, the highest since Realtor.com began tracking that. People that are listing their homes and then taking them off the market right now is the highest it's ever been. Huge jump in terms of, and then so like the listing to delisting ratio is 0.27. So 0.27. Yeah. So it's less than 1%. Right. Well, delisting to new listings ratio reached 0.27 in October. So up from 0.20 a year earlier. So listen to this. So this is on BAM's website. Okay. In Miami, 45. So market with highest ratios, 45 per 100 listings, new listings, up from 34. So for every 100 new listings, there's 45 that they're pulling their house off the market in Miami. That's what sounds like more than 0.25%. That sounds like closer to. That's just the ratio. So 27% is what it's at right now. So one out of 4 that every 4 houses come on the market, somebody pulls theirs off. Is what they're seeing right now. I don't know if they're including cancels and it expired in this. Doesn't say that, so I'm going to assume that they're not. But that's first of all, I kind of like it because if they don't have to sell, they shouldn't be on the market. Right. We don't want more inventory at this point. We did maybe 3 years ago. We were screaming for more inventory. Now that we got it, we're like, I'm not a believer. Active listings right now, year to date, are up 12.6% year over year. 1,072,000 homes. So that's 25 straight months of annual gain it says annual gain. So I guess they're saying 12 rolling months. 12 rolling months of more like adding to the inventory kept going up. 5 months in a row, the inventory has climbed. Yeah. But what's interesting is your first stat. So curious what your thoughts are. So
the first question in my mind is, why do you think that's happening? Why are we seeing an uptick of people listing their home and then saying, I'm gonna pull back on that? Like it to me, obviously it points to motivation or their inability to make the next move.
Right.
So what do you think really is the biggest driver of that?
The reality of not being able to sell at what they would like to sell for so they can make the move and buy whatever it is that they want to buy. Like, well, if I can't do that, then I'm just not going to sell. I'm just going to stay here. That would be my thought.
So they got rich on a spreadsheet.
Right. They were like, man, if it'll bring this, then we're moving over here and we're going to buy that.
Meanwhile, they were looking at the Zestimate from 2021.
Right.
And that's not a reality today. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Craziness.
Yep. It just points to more and more and more being the expert. You have to be the expert. You have to know your individual marketplace, and you have to know what's going on in that marketplace. You have to know what the inventory looks like. You have to look at recent sales. You have to look at pending ratios, and you have to be priced and positioned to sell in this market. That's a skill set. Either you have the ability to influence someone to make the right decision there, or you take the listing because you just wanted the listing and you didn't actually educate them.
You can't be an expert without being an expert, especially in this market.
Nope.
I will say this, in 2020, 2021, 2022, you can get away making 6 figures, not 7, 6 figures. You can make 6 figures and just be an okay agent. You know, it was easy. It was easy. It's not easy anymore. And this is where you really, if you came in, you got your license in 2020, 2021, you're like, dang, should have done this earlier. You're getting that sobriety. You're getting that sober hangover now. You're waking up like, what? What happened to that?
Yep.
You actually have to get good. Now you actually have to dig in and become an expert. And if you don't, especially with the agents that are enabled, empowered with AI, they're literally going to blow right past you.
Blow
yourself. Putting ads in Indeed or doing whatever, trying to find that next job. And that's what's going to happen. It's already happening. So the alternative is build your business the right way. Hit up jkinder.com, albystasic.com. We would be delighted to show you what we're doing to double, triple agents' businesses, helping grow agents from 6 figures to 7 and 7 even. We have 8-figure agents.
Did you say from 6 figures to 7? I think that's what I heard.
That's a 6-7. Damn it.
See, there it is right there.
These are right.
It's everywhere. I'm telling you.
Bro. Look at Brandon Lee. What's up, Brandon?
What's up, Brandon? That dude is a stud. I know he's on the AI game.
Oh, my God, yeah.
In multiple industries right now.
Dude, he was on.
Yeah, he was on point without AI. He was like AI without AI.
Yep. Brandon Lee, man. Yeah.
I'd be interested, and we ought to have him on the podcast someday. The efficiencies that can be gained in the lead generation and lead conversion process, I feel like is the biggest margin gain that you can get in your real estate business. That's if I look at 100 P&Ls to give me individual agents with small teams, agents with large teams, I would say that's where the most inefficiency is in the business. And with AI, I think that's where you can 2 or 3x the margin on your business, but not the overall business, but on that aspect of the business, you can get a 2 to 3x increase in profitability. And so that's where we focus our time, effort, and energy. The unique thing about what we're doing now, and I think still people don't get it, is we don't wake up every day thinking, how much can we sell this to real estate agents for? How much would they pay us for it? We think we wake up every day going, man, how can we give this to people if they came and partnered with us at EXP? That fundamentally is what's changing the game. Like that makes it difficult to compete if you're a competitor.
Yeah. Well, I think I was literally just reminding someone on our huddle today of why we created Funnel Pilot to begin with. It wasn't to sell it. It wasn't even to use as a recruiting tool.
We were just doing it to help people We
Help
were
our agents.
we were teaching people how to become marketers on Funnel Fridays. And then what happened was Braden would get on, and people that would take, there's a handful of people that'll get on there and be like, all right, let me just try to build this shit out, and they would mess it up, and they get back on the call and be like, man, my lead cost is $17. Let me look at it. And then he'd go in, dissect it, be like, oh no, we got to do this, got to change that, move that around, do this. And then he would have, the lead cost would drop down to $3 to $5. And then he was getting all these messages on Instagram, like, he's posting, he's doing these calls with agents, and he's just like, man, PSA to the agents, follow up with your leads. This is working. Yeah. And I was like, dude, is everybody crushing it? Because I see all these posts that you're making, and everybody seems to be crushing. He's like, yeah, man, everybody we build these for is crushing it. And so originally it started with the people that would try to do it themselves. Then they needed some help, and then we had to help them. We didn't have to help them. We just wanted to see them win. So we're just like, all right, let us help you. And that turned into, okay, what if we could make that just the offer? And that's where we're at today. Is like, all right, well, we'll just do this for you. Like, you don't need to be messing with that. Let me help you get the phone to ring. And then if you're good from there, we're good. If not, I'll train you on what to say on the phone. But most agents that we talk to, they're like, man, I'm just not getting enough conversations. And what's the fastest way to more conversations? Automation's AI, but lead gen, you got to have leads. If you don't have if you are not generating leads, you're paying out the nose for it. If you're using these portals or anything else, but we can generate those, $300, that's nothing. Like $300, you're making 10 grand a commission, y'all. Like, what are you doing? Like, it's nothing. And that's the short-term follow-up. Not to mention, let's build a moat around these people. Let's understand in today's market, who is the avatar that's actually going to be buying a home, and why? Why are they moving? They're moving here for a tech job. They're moving to get their kids into school. They're making a move because they have to, but there's an avatar in your market that's buying in the sweet spot that if we target them with the right message to the market, the right ad, and we understand what it is that they're trying to do and what keeps them up at night, what are their hopes, fears, concerns, desires. Now we can create content and position you as the go-to expert for exactly what they're trying to do. That's laying a brick as perfectly as a brick can be laid. We're not just generating a bunch of leads and hoping you call them all. Like, that ship has sailed. Let's help bubble up conversations and create great content that helps you be positioned as the person that does exactly what they're trying to do, like a tuning fork. And so that's a game nobody's playing. Like, it's still to this day, people don't understand marketing, but it's, when you have some help with implementing these ideas, I think, I can tell everybody, everything I say, everybody goes like, that makes a lot of sense. Like, okay, what's next? Well, let us do it for you. That's the next step, because you're going to probably mess it up. Like, that's, the truth. Well, and I messed it up. I messed it up a bunch of times before I got it right.
We still mess some stuff up. I mean, listen, there's two choices. Go to jkinder.com, go to albstasic.com. We'll show you everything that we're doing to help agents hit that 6-figure, 7-figure. See if there it is again. Or the other option is to figure it out on your own, and that's totally fine too. And it might feel like getting hit with a car antenna.
Yeah, super painful. It really, really hurts.
I felt like that sometimes.
Yeah,
I literally felt like I was getting whooped.
Yeah, 07, 08 felt like that to me. Yeah, for sure. But hey, listen to what Brandon says. So AI is a game changer. Most of our efforts are spent on implementing training, playing therapy. Everyone complains about leads, but we all know the problem is encouraging people to make the calls. Use the CRMs. It's ridiculously difficult to get them to do the follow-up. We've been making almost 200,000 calls a day with AI. Average conversation is 5 minutes. That means his AI is getting smarter. It's loaded with more information and things that to not just handling objections, but conversation. We've been, so 5 minutes, 40% of the conversations are live transferred and answered. So now you can generate all these leads, have AI make the calls, live transfer the good ones to you. Now the sifting and sorting, and you not doing what you should do if you don't make the call in the first 5 minutes, 100% of the time, there's a huge drop off in number of leads that you actually contacted. Contacted rate is everything. So if you can leverage AI to increase contacted rate and live transfer the good ones to you, the cost savings of that in terms of throughput to actual sales, if you're good at what you do, is mind blowing. This is the biggest. This to me is what the teams, if the teams don't adopt this, and if the teams adopt this, they'll become more efficient. Now they won't be so dependent on those agents that they're afraid to leave. If they don't adopt this, they're gonna get passed up by the teams that do. But you don't have to. I think I still think teams are going to win in the long game. But I think your ability to have someone, we depend on these agents to make these calls, and we're always, you got daily huddle. What are we talking about? How many leads who you call? All of that management heavy piece to get your agents to do the things that they just generally don't want to do. That goes away, and live transfers come to an ISA or an in-house person that you and your brand controls, and that's a hired position. Now you need showing agents. Now you can compensate them however you want. I think that's where it's headed.
That's the better problem to have.
Yeah.
Leverage, baby.
Yep.
All about leverage. That's what we're talking about today. Basically, if you kind of summarize this entire, episode, you talk about this system that we're building. It's called jet fuel. It's never been built before. However, there are similar products out there that a lot of our agents are buying right now, and they're spending $300 a month, $400. One's spending $700 a month. I have another one that has a big database that's spending $1,400 a month, and it's an amazing system. Don't get me wrong. We're going to be disrupting this part of the business, and our goal is to offer it for free. I know that's crazy. Like, well, first of all, how can you? But the better question might be, why would you? And we've answered that earlier in the podcast. But the truth of the matter is, most agents need this, and they don't know how to build it, and B, maybe they can't even afford it at the moment. That doesn't mean that they don't need it to grow their business and start building. So that's what we're doing, baby. Hop in at albystasic.com, jkinder.com. We'll show you what's behind the curtain.
Yeah.
For 2026. Give you a little peeky peek.
Like, let us just help you, okay?
Yeah.
This shit is really hard, okay? But it's not that hard if you have some help. And so if you're not getting the support and you're tired of trying to figure it out on your own, just let us help you. We don't want your money. We don't know how to take a credit card. We just want to help you. So, it's kind of crazy. If you want to keep trying to figure it out, good luck, because there's a lot of people that'll take your money. So, and a lot of people that are good at what they do, but even more people that don't even know what they're doing will take your money. And so you got to figure all that out, or you could use a little bit of help, and we'll help you.
Love it, brother.
All right, brother.
Well, hey, man, I will see you in 17 days in Lake Tahoe.
16 or 17 days, is that right?
And I will see you at the top.
Hey, is it 16 or 17 days?
17.
6, 7?
All right, brother.
All right, man. See you.
Hey,
later.